let's figure out audio now. How good do I sound now? I'm insanely quiet. Okay, how does this sound? Why am I so quiet? Okay, what about here? I'm aware I need to make myself louder. Oh, okay, so I sound crunchy again. Okay, so what if I crank this? And then turn this down. How is this? Is this good? That actually sounds good. I don't think I sound like an animatronic today. I'm kind of cool with that. Okay, so I might leave the stream on my phone because for some reason chat is like cut off. Maybe I can get it to work. Hold on. Live chat. What if can I move the chat box? I can. Okay. Let me. No, I guess chat's just not gonna look good. I sound human again. Hey, I was human after all. Okay, so one more second here. I'm gonna put these headphones away. Okay, and then as long as nothing explodes, I'm not too worried about that. Dang, 3 viewers already. I guess people are really interested in my opinions. So welcome everybody. It's good to see you. So I guess not really a request, but I came up with an idea, and I guess I'm gonna go through with it. This is gonna be my first tier list video. So here's the list. I just got done making it a while ago. You'll notice, so I said I'm gonna rank all the mainline Pokemon games with a couple extras. So there's a couple games that I would say are close enough to like a mainline Pokemon experience. Oh, you can see my mouse. That's good. Okay. There's a couple games that are close enough to a mainline experience where I just thought I'd rank them anyways. That would be Colosseum, XD, Gale of Darkness, Legends Arceus, Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. And then I went ahead and put the Stadium games and Battle Revolution on here, even though me personally, I don't think they completely fit. But they are like mainline battling games. Like it's kind of like if I put Pokemon Showdown on here. Spoiler, I think Showdown would probably be in the very best. But I'm not gonna rank it because it's not like a real game. You're just here to judge my opinions heavily. Oh no. Alright, so I guess I'll go over the list real quick. It's not exactly organized just because of how I had to save them in the folder, but that's fine. It's whatever. Uh, Here's all the games I'm ranking. If I left one out, let me know, but I think I covered at least the heavy hitters. As far as tiering goes, we have the very best. Think of this as like S tier, I guess. This is gonna be for the Pokemon games that I like, regardless of anyone's opinion. These are the games that if I want to play a Pokemon game, this is what I'm booting up. This is what I enjoy playing, regardless of public opinion. And I think you would enjoy them too. The good tier is where I'm gonna put the games that I think are fine, and most people think are really good. 7.8 out of 10 tier is, well, I mean, I guess you can assume what goes in this tier. Mediocre? This tier is for all of the games that I don't think are bad, but there's a lot holding them back to where I just can't justify putting them higher. And then finally we have the finest. These are the games that I think are fine being lost to the sands of time. Too much water. Does he know? Showdown won't ban for it and put it in PU. They don't understand its power. They just don't know. Game Freak gave it tidy up. It's over. How do you beat Furret? It can Dragon Dance now. So I think I'm gonna give everyone like one more minute to see if anybody else wants to join. And then I'll go ahead and start ranking games. I don't know how much I'm gonna talk about each individual game, because I feel like everyone knows these games. I guess I could just talk about my personal opinions and leave it at that. I don't really need to go into, like, the game itself. How's everybody doing today? This beautiful Thursday. As soon as I say we're gonna take a break, chat goes dead. What's going on? Alright, it's 7:15, so I guess I'm gonna get started. Ooh, what kind of cereal, though? I'm not much of a cereal guy. I can't really do milk, so... I enjoy cereal, but I don't eat it very often. Oh, well, lucky for you, I don't think this is gonna take more than an hour and a half, so... Maybe it will, but I'm hoping it doesn't. So before we even start, I'm gonna add a new tier, which I'm gonna fill out. I thought I changed the color on this, whatever. I'm gonna add a new tier called Haven't Played, and this is gonna be the most controversial tier of them all. Because I already know I'm about to put one game in here that is going to trigger my entire audience. Is it 7:15 for you? It's 11 for me. Well, 11:15, I guess, but so all right. So going in the I haven't played this game tier. I think that's it. Oh, I guess I haven't played Diamond either. So I'll be fair to Diamond and put it that you know, I'm not going to be fair to Diamond. I'm still going to rank Diamond. Diamond doesn't deserve my mercy. Uh, I know, I need to play Heart Gold Soul Silver. That's the one game that I know people are about to crucify me for not playing. So I'll go over my opinions on these games real quick, but know that I also haven't played them. I'll put them in order of how much I think I'd enjoy them in the tier here. So Heart Gold and Soul Silver are what I assume are the best Pokemon games. However, I don't feel like I should rank Heart Gold and Soul Silver just because I don't know my opinion on them yet. I've played a little bit of both Heart Gold, Soul Silver, and Fire Red, Leaf Green, but I've never like finished the game. I've never really made it farther than like early game on either of them. So, okay, I see it in the chat already. Johto issues. I know it doesn't fix all the Johto issues. However, does that make Heart Gold Soul Silver that bad? Battle Revolution is double battles. 17. I didn't know. Is Battle Revolution only double battles? I know Battle Revolution's basically just a battle simulator. Okay, let me get back on track here. Stop reading the chat. Also, can you guys hear the music? Because I want to make sure this isn't literally just my voice. Is the music good, and is it like loud enough? I probably should have checked that way earlier, but if you can hear the music, type Kotora in the chat. You can hear it? Okay, good. So anyway, so Heart Gold Soul Silver, probably, if I had played it, it would be here. But since I haven't, like, finished the game, it's going here. XD Gale of Darkness, I think I would enjoy as a novelty. I would probably put it either in good or mediocre. Just kind of depending on my experience with the game. Of what I've seen of the game, I think I would have fun. But I'm not 100% sure. Fire Red and Leaf Green, I think, are the most skippable Pokemon games in the entire mainline series. Why would you play Fire Red and Leaf Green when you could play Generation 1 with all its fun quirks, or Let's Go, which is debatably the best visually looking Pokemon game ever? Like, as far as like 3D models, like, you already have better remakes in the form of Yellow and Let's Go. I don't know why you would play this. And I know a lot of people don't like my opinion on Fire Red and Leaf Green, but I just don't see the point in playing them outside of, like, downloading the ROM. I mean, getting your legal copy of Fire Red and Leaf Green in order to experience fan-made creations by definitely legally modifying the game data. I don't know how to say this without just saying ROM hacks, but I don't know why you would play this game besides to put a better game on top of it. You're biased towards Fire Red Leaf Green. I can understand bias. One of the games I'm about to rank is going to have personal bias. I'm already telling you. Are there any other ones that I need to get out of the way before I start? I think that's it. Oh, I need to talk about Battle Revolution. I think Battle Revolution is a horrible game. I kind of only put it on here because Stadium and Stadium 2 are here. I'm pretty sure this is the game that killed Genius Sonority. Like, I think they made, like, Pokemon Shuffle. So, congratulations, Genius Sonority. You got demoted to making mobile games. It's a real shame, too, because I think if they got to make, like, a Coliseum 3, they probably would have made a pretty okay game. Because I think XD was on the right track of kind of making a mainline-esque experience without it being too similar and with a decent amount of, like, I don't want to say challenge, but not like babyish difficulty. But instead we got Battle Revolution, which I guess killed the Battle Simulator Pokemon console game series. Ooh. Alright, so I guess we'll talk about Generation 1 now, Red and Blue. So, I have a young man's opinion on Generation 1. I was not a kid in the 90s. I literally didn't exist. So, Pokemania is like a legend to me. And all the like copy pasta stuff, Missing No, Mew under the truck, all of that kind of stuff. None of it was ever a mystery to me. Like, I knew about, like, Missing No before I even was a Pokemon fan. Like, that's just something that's in gaming culture enough to where you just kind of know about it if you know about glitches. As far as the games themselves, I think Generation 1 holds up extremely well in the modern day. And I'm gonna put it in the good tier. Kind of wait and see if anybody decides to yell at me here. So Generation 1, to me, is fun in the way that it's fun to go back to, like, Super Mario Bros. 3. Or, like, older JRPG games. It's archaic for sure, and most of the fun comes from the game being broken, but at the same time, all the broken stuff is what makes Generation 1 so fun. Like, you can just annihilate everything in the game with Hyper Beam. Any sort of not status move, but like a stat buff and debuff move just passively gives you insane buffs. There's all sorts of just broken things in the game that makes it a very unique experience. And I think if you are a Pokemon fan or want to get into Pokemon, you should probably play Generation 1 at some point. If anybody wants deeper opinions on Red and Blue, please let me know. That's kind of all I have off the top of my head, but Also, in case you're wondering, I probably should have said this earlier. All the box arts that I have listed here are the version of the game that I played. So I played Blue on the 3DS Virtual Console. Yellow is top tier. Ooh, so yellow. It's kind of hard for me to decide where I want to put yellow. I think I'm gonna put yellow under red and blue. So my issues with yellow is it adds things that are good. Like, technically, with the addition of the starter Pikachu, it's the introduction of following Pokemon and the introduction of the friendship mechanic. Two things that I know are fan favorites. However, you have to play the game with a Pikachu. Like, you don't have to. You can box Pikachu. But all of the cool, fun, new stuff in this game is basically having the Pikachu. Like, you can get all 3 Kanto starters in the game, which is really cool. They also add Jesse and James as like a mini boss. They're really easy to beat. It's not that exciting. Yellow has better Glitchmons. Hey, don't go advertising big yellow videos in a Wiz stream. I've actually met Big Yellow. Very cool individual. Not like in person. We've talked online, but another Ace Attorney fan. Ace Attorney, good series. Let me know if you want me to rank Ace Attorney games. But anyway, so I think that's where I'm just gonna leave these. Yellow is a good game. It fixes a lot of broken stuff in red and blue, but I'd probably still say play red and blue over yellow. Unless you just want to do a run where you play as like Champion Red and have like Red's team, or Ash and have Pikachu and Charizard do all of your fights, I guess. Rank Ace Attorney cases? Well, I mean, most of the cases would rank really high except like 2. And I think everybody knows which 2 cases those are. Oh, I was making a joke. I know you weren't advertising Big Yellow. That was a joke. I hope it came off as a joke. So I'm gonna go ahead and skip down to Generation 2. I might go ahead and try to organize these some. So Generation 2, definitely more controversial games, I'd say, in the modern day. People love Gen 2, but I think they love Gen 2 only because it has 2 regions. So you get done with Johto, you beat Birdkeeper Lance, and his legendary Dragonite dies to Veluza, by the way. And then you get to go to Kanto, and Kanto is really boring. Gotta go for a bit? Alright, I'll see you later. I really hate putting Gen 2 here, but there's a lot of problems with Gen 2. So Generation 2 was kind of made to be not Pokemon Generation 2, but Pokemon Space 2. Like, these are supposed to be just the second game. Think like how there's Black and then Black 2. It's the same idea. It's kind of weird to think about it, because you go from these games, which are just sequels, to the Kanto games to Ruby and Sapphire, which basically have nothing to do with any of the other games. You don't like facing Pokemon 20 levels below? I do like a little bit of challenge. However, I know... Well, I guess I should get into what makes Gold and Silver bad. So, story-wise, I think it's a solid game. But the gym leaders have these, like, horrible teams where they're all Kanto Pokemon about. Like, I think Jasmine uses a Steelix. Whitney uses a Miltank. Do any other gym leaders use Johto Pokemon? Oh, Claire uses Kingdra. And Price uses a Pillow-Swine. Is that it? I think that's it. On top of that, once you go to Kanto, I think Lance caps at, like, the higher 40s, and then all of the Kanto gym leaders have, like, level 30 teams. I might be getting the levels wrong, but you basically go to Kanto and sweep everyone. It's so depressing. With all that said, I do think I'm going to put Crystal in good. And that's because I think it's a really pretty game. So, one thing that makes Crystal a little better than Gold and Silver. Wait, so okay, I got my facts wrong. Apparently the gym leaders are in the low 40s, except for Janine, who's in the high 30s and uses area dose. Oh no. So what makes Crystal so much better than Gold and Silver is it has motion sprites, and I think that's literally it. That's what makes it that much better for me. It also adds like a storyline for Suicune, and you can actually catch and use Suicune. Would I recommend using Suicune? I mean, not really. There's a lot of water types in the game. I think you can have, like, for Alligator, or Quagsire, or Gyarados, or just any other number of water types, with probably, like, maxed out DVs by the time you get Suicune. So it's not really worth it. I think that's it for Gen 2, right? Oh yeah, they do kind of add more variety to the Pokemon too. So a problem that base Gen 2 has is there's not a lot of Johto Pokemon found in Johto. So like, really when you're saying Johto Pokemon, you mean the Pokemon introduced in Generation 2. Because the Pokemon native to Johto are basically all Kanto Pokemon. And then Kanto, like, randomly gets these brand new Pokemon out of nowhere. Like, Houndour, Slugma, Misdreavus, Murkrow, I believe. Just all live in Kanto now. I have no idea how they got there. Yeah, I think that's about it on Generation 2. Moving on to Generation 3. And I'm just gonna go ahead and put both of these games in the 7.8 out of 10 tier. Very obviously. A tier literally made for Hoenn. So Generation 3, I think, is what appears in people's minds when they think about Pokemon. Mostly because of ROM hacks, I think. Most, like, Pokemon fan-made experiences are based on Gen 3, just because the engine is really snappy, everything's fast, and it's pretty easy to edit. Like, me, a complete programming idiot who, spent like 5 minutes furiously trying to slap a Mudkip PNG on top of the Pokemon Shield box art for this stream's thumbnail. I can modify a copy of the Pokemon GBA games because it's that easy. Did the music end? No, it's still going. Okay. So Ruby and Sapphire, I'm going to put below Emerald because Emerald has really good fights. Like, I think Emerald, Tate, and Liza is probably one of the hardest boss fights in the series, relative to, like, where you are in the game. So they have Solrock, Lunatone, Xatu, and Claydol. Now, none of those Pokemon sound very threatening on their own, but Claydol knows Earthquake, which is a spread move, and all of their Pokemon are immune to Earthquake. So it's really, how many of your Pokemon can stand up against the best move in Pokemon? It's less of a Psychic Gym and more of a Ground Gym. Just because you have to make sure you don't die to Earthquake. And then none of their other Pokemon are that none of their other Pokemon aren't threatening either. Like, I'm pretty sure they all have Psychic. I think Solrock has Rock Slide. I might be wrong, but it's just a really smartly built doubles team that I wish they would bring back for future NPC double battles. But beyond that, the entire Hoenn region is let down by being just chock full of water. It's not that fun to explore Hoenn. Because basically, to explore Hoenn, you have to have a water Pokemon full of water HMs. And then you explore hundreds of water routes where you will encounter... Solrock doesn't have Rock Slide. I thought it had Rock Slide. Well, that's unfortunate. Regardless, I think it's a good fight. Sorry for spreading lies on the internet. Anyways, the water routes. I hope you like Wingull and Tentacool, because they're the mascots of Hoenn. They should have put them on the box. They're all you're going to be seeing for half the game. But I think that's enough ragging on Hoenn. The reason Hoenn gets its own tier is I love the Hoenn region and I love the Hoenn decks. So I would put them higher if I had more fun playing the games. But I like half of the game. And then the other half is pretty bad. Also, I think Steven is a cooler champion than Wallace. But, I mean, you can still fight Steven in Emerald, so it's not the end of the world. Alright. So I want to preface this by saying, I haven't played Pokemon Diamond and Pearl. However, I don't think I ever will. I think Diamond and Pearl are the worst Pokemon games ever made. So, listen to this. In a world where you are 4 generations deep into a multi-million-dollar series, you decide, let's cut back the decks to 151 Pokemon again. However, let's have no common sense in choosing the Pokemon we put in this game and make most of them legendaries. So, Diamond and Pearl introduce a lot of like cross-gen evolutions, but you can't catch the Pokemon. Like, I'm pretty sure Electabuzz, Magmar, Kirlia, Snorunt, Dusclops. There might be more. I'm pretty sure all of those Pokemon gain new evolutions and aren't in Diamond and Pearl. You have to transfer for them. Or they're like in the post game. So there's these brand new cool Pokemon based on Pokemon from the past that you probably like that you just can't use. More stuff bad with the game. I don't know if you knew, but the DS is a little more powerful than the Game Boy Advance. Diamond and Pearl aren't really that much of a step up from Generation 3, but they run even worse than Generation 3. Like, I have no idea what happened to these games. With all that being said, they did fix all the mistakes of the Sinnoh region, its Pokédex, its trainers, the story. Everything was fixed with Platinum. And obviously Platinum is the best Pokemon game ever made. Am I right, boys? Let's get the claps. Everybody loves Platinum. I don't like Platinum. I'm about to lose all of my viewers. Okay, I'm putting Platinum in the good tier. However, I think Platinum is extremely overrated. So I played through the entire game before Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl came out. For the first time. Just because I saw all the discourse. Nah, it's fine. Alright, thank you. Thank you for not leaving me. Anyways, I played Platinum for the first time, right before Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl came out, because I saw all of the complaints. Oh, this looks like a straight remake of Diamond and Pearl. Why wouldn't they add all the Platinum stuff? My answer to that is, why wouldn't they add all the Platinum stuff? I'm confused too. Platinum is a lot better than Diamond and Pearl. It's still kind of slow. And overall, I would say that the Sinnoh region is probably my least favorite region. It's just chock full of stuff that you have to HM your way through. You have to have, like, multiple HM mules. Like, you have to have Rock Climb, Strength, Rock Smash, Surf. And that's just to get through Mount Coronet. Then there's also, like, Defog, Waterfall. Maybe Whirlpool is in Platinum. I don't remember if it's in Platinum or not. I know it's in Heart Gold, Soul Silver. But there's just so many HMs that you have to slog your way through to get through these games, which means there's less creativity going into your team building, which is one of Pokemon's strengths. Like, a later game, like X and Y, has HMs, but there's such a variety of Pokemon, and so few HMs that are like necessary for you to use through the entire game that you can have a really diverse team. A game like Platinum forces you to have like Bidoof and Staraptor on your team just so you can get through the entire game. Whirlpool isn't in Platinum? Okay, my bad. Sorry to all you Whirlpool fans. With all that being said, I do think Platinum is one of the more challenging Pokemon games. So I do think it's worth your time to play Platinum sometime in your life. And you probably will enjoy it more than I did. I'm not gonna say I'll never play Platinum again either. I think it was a fun time. It's just, there's issues with the game that I have that keeps it from being like my top favorite Pokemon game. Alright, so I guess we're on to Generation 5 now. So, do I want to preface this with anything? Or am I just going to move both of these games? I think I'm just going to move them both. I don't know if I need to say anything. So I did not play these games when they came out. But I also was not a 90s kid. So I have heard the arguments. Ah, Black and White took out all my favorite Pokemon. I had to play through the game with brand new Pokemon that just aren't as cool. My answer to that is, have you used Excadrill? Have you used Conkeldurr? Have you used oh shoot, what's his name? The Bongo, Sigilyph. I love Sigilyph. Darmanitan. There's a ton of really good Generation 5 Pokemon. If it wasn't like, if I could like clearly think of the decks, I don't want to open the Pokédex, but it's a really solid Pokédex. Like if they were going to do a game where they removed all of the past Pokemon and only let you select from a handful, I don't think there's any selection of Pokemon that would be better than the Generation 5 decks. Foreshadowing. Black 2 and White 2 do bring back a lot of old Pokemon, and I do think they're better than Black and White. I think the battles are a little better. It introduces challenge mode, which is kind of hard to get to if you're playing on cartridge. But if you're playing on like your official Nintendo PC, just add there's some setting you can do where you can just get challenge mode unlocked right away, and that's probably how I would recommend playing the game. Is there anything else I want to say about Black and White? They're the first Pokemon games to have a really solid focus on story. So I'm not gonna say games like Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum didn't have a story. In fact, I'm not gonna say that like Generation 1 didn't have a story. However, the story was like tertiary to the gameplay and the environment. Like past games were more focused on you exploring and battling, while Black and White are more invested in getting you invested in what's going on in the world. Team Plasma, while I think they have one of the better motivations of any evil team. I will say they do kind of fumble the bag with them. I'm not a huge fan of them just kind of turning Getsus into a Saturday morning cartoon villain at the very end. Especially in Black and White 2, Team Plasma are just evil. Like, there's no more ambiguity about, oh, but Pokemon matter too, don't they? Shouldn't you care about your Pokemon and not want to capture them in balls and force them into combat? Yeah, there's none of that. It's just, yeah, we're evil. But overall, I would still say Black and White have one of the better stories in the entire series. And Black and White 2 overall are pretty solid story-wise, but I think what Black and White 2 lacks in the story department, it makes up for in gameplay. It might end up being the best game on this list. Alright. And with that, we move on to the first Pokemon game I ever played. Pokemon X. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't know where to rank this. I guess I'll get my thoughts out and see, just listening to myself, where I think this game should go. So a little bit of Wiz lore. So I believe I was 13 or 14 when I got X. I was chilling in the band hall after school, and one of my buddies was like, hey, you've never played Pokemon. Try this out. And loaned me their copy of X. And I was like, okay, I guess I'll play this. So I started a fresh file, hopped on in, I chose a Finnegan. And yeah, I've played these games for the last 10 years. So I guess you know how well that went. I think X and Y are some of the best games for a beginner, just because of the sheer variety of Pokemon that exist in the region, and how incredibly easy the game is. Like, there are fights that I had trouble with back when I had no idea how Pokemon worked. Like, I didn't know the difference between a damaging move and a statusing move. I didn't know the types. I didn't know what stats were. I remember vividly in, not X and Y, but in Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, which we're about to get to. I remember vividly training up a Sceptile and getting confused that it didn't learn any, like, HP draining moves. Because I thought that grass types were exclusively about dealing damage and recovering health. Like, I thought every single type had a gimmick, not just, here are the moves this type can use. Like, I thought grass type was the draining type. Poison was like the statusing, destroy your health slowly with annoying, like, damage over time effects type. I don't remember exactly what I thought with other things, but I had no idea that a typing was only really related to the stab damage multiplier you use and what damage you take. Oh, welcome back. We're talking about X and Y. So overall, I think X and Y are probably the most nostalgic games for me on this entire list. They always make me think back just to that one day where I just kind of loaded everything up and went, oh, this is really cool. These things are so cute. I can't wait to play more of this. I think I'm gonna be fair to X and Y, and I'm gonna put it at the bottom of good. I think X and Y treated me very nicely. They're extremely boring for me to play nowadays because they're just so easy. Like, all you have to do basically is like grab a Riolu from the route like right next to the bug gym, run around a bit so it evolves into Lucario, and then have that Lucario beat the entire game for you. Maybe pick up like a Charizard or something. Alright, so Pokemon Moon was the first game I picked up of the Sun and Moon duology. And Generation 7 as a whole, I would say, has the best story in the entire Pokemon series. I mean, it's just a story about a broken family. There's nothing more classic than that. And of course, the broken family is you and your estranged father, who you haven't seen in years, showing up on this island. And he doesn't remember you. And why doesn't he remember you? Well, it's because he's a faller. And Looker explains to you... I haven't talked about Looker yet, I guess. He's this, basically like an FBI agent who shows up in a bunch of games. But he shows you that when you go through the Ultra Wormholes, that you lose your memory and all sense of self. So, you go on this journey to kind of like reconcile with your mother, who's had to take over your dad's company and has kind of lost her mind a bit. Wait. Oh, wait. We're not the main character of this game, are we? Why is Lily the main character of Sun and Moon? Can anyone tell me? Like, Lily is a great character. I like Lily. But it has never stopped bugging me that the entire story of the game isn't about the main character. You are focused 100% on the journey of Lily and Cosmog. And at the end of the game, the payoff to that story is you steal Cosmog from Lily. Why isn't Lily training the cover legendary? She's the main character. Like, this entire story is so messed up to me. It is the second best story in the game, because like I said, I really do like or in the series, I mean, the second best story in the series. You didn't like the post-game. The Sun and Moon post-game was okay. I like the Faller lore. I think the idea of falling out of a wormhole into one of the, like, pocket dimensions introduced in Oris is a neat idea. And the kind of lore behind, like, having these different characters who are still around, but they have no idea who they are anymore, is just kind of neat to me. I don't know. But the actual gameplay of it is pretty boring. I do remember, and I think this is the last time a Pokemon game actually surprised me. At the end of the Looker quest, he just kind of tells you, hey, so we had like one more thing get picked up, but we have no idea where it's at. Maybe you'll find it, I don't know. Anyways, good job, champ. And then he kind of leaves. So like one random day, I found myself just kind of exploring 10 Carat Hill. I think I was either shiny hunting Rockruff, or I just needed Rockruff for the dex. But it was something where I was catching Rockruff. And then out of nowhere, this horrifying Pokemon shows up. Giant black claws, shining, like, ebony body, these insane eyes with, like, glittering crystal fragments inside. I legit thought I broke the game. I thought it was a glitch. I had no idea what was in front of me. So I Master Balled it. And it turns out that this was a Pokemon called Necrozma. I had no idea it existed. And it was the coolest feeling, just having this random Pokemon show up that turns out to be a legendary that I just snag. It was probably the most exciting experience I ever had with a Pokemon game. I remember I was sitting in the cafeteria with like some of my buddies from high school, and then all of a sudden I just freak out because what is this thing? And nobody knew. Nobody had any idea what I had just found. With that being said, I guess we're gonna move on to Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, which I mean, obviously, worst games in the series, right? I mean, they ruined the story. Like, what is this crap with Ultra Necrozma? What a stupid boss fight. I mean, no, not really. I'm gonna put it above Platinum. So this is one of the hardest games in the... I'm gonna get to the remakes later. Don't worry, I'm gonna rank it. So this is one of the hardest games in the series, unironically. Like, people say XD is hard. XD isn't hard. XD is just, you have to get used to double battles. Ultra Sun actually throws, like, real challenges for you to overcome. Like, there's this battle with Ilima, the fancy normal guy that you have to beat before you even do like any of the island trials, any of the kahunas. And he like mops the floor with you. He has a Yungoos, then a Smeargle with like perfect coverage for your starter. And at this point in the game, you probably have, like, your starter, and then maybe, like, some early route garbage. Like a Yungoos, or, like, Pikipek, Grubbin. Like, nothing that's gonna be a massive threat. So this Smeargle just goes to town on your entire team. It's so crazy. And then later on, there's battles like the Totem Rabombi that calls in allies that just make it impossible to kill with like Heal Pulse and like Tailwind and junk. Just all this setup. Ugh. The battles are honestly really annoying. And I know what you're thinking. Ultra Necrozma is overrated. It's so easy to beat Ultra Necrozma. And it is. But is it easy without any prep work? Like, the first time you fight Ultra Necrozma, if you don't know it's coming, it's a hard fight. Like, you can guess that it's a Psychic type. But did you know it was a Dragon type? And do you have a Pokemon that can eat hits from a Omni-boosted Pokemon with legendary stats? Like, when the game came out, and we didn't even know what Ultra Necrozma was. There was a reason that most, like, Pokemon YouTubers and streamers at the time just kind of got, like, their butt handed to them. It's because it's a pretty decent fight. And I mean, obviously now you can just, like, Toxic Stall it and, like, cheese it out with Zoroark, but we didn't know about that, like, starting out. So I would say it's a pretty solid fight. Obviously, there are better single Pokemon boss fights later in the series, but for, like, the first one, I'd say it does pretty good. Okay. So, so that happened. So I remember pretty vividly buying a Switch. Not buying a Switch. I got gifted a Switch. But I remember vividly saying that I was going to buy a Switch when a Pokemon game came out for it. I'm very glad that I got gifted a Switch and didn't buy a Switch, so I didn't waste more money on Pokemon Sword and Shield. These games are insulting to longtime fans. Like, keep in mind, when Sword and Shield came out, I'd only been a fan for 2 generations. But even then, the quality of Gen 6 and Gen 7 wasn't that bad. Generation 8 basically told all the fans that we only care about VGC players. Singles players, get lost. We don't like you. Have a 20-minute battle timer for your 6v6 stall wars. Shiny hunters, I hope you like marks and stupid little square sparkles that change nothing about the shiny except that the sparkle is different. So at least you want to shiny hunt these, right? Casual players, I hope you didn't like old Pokemon, because we're going to literally whip out the Infinity Gauntlet and snap away half of the decks. In fact, I believe it's more than half. I'm not going to look it up, but I'm pretty sure it's more than half. But don't worry, they sold you back, like, I think another third with the DLC. Oh boy. I think the music died. Hold on. Let me wait for this to call back up before I complain about Sword and Shield more. The groups I played with in Sword and Shield basically had a gentleman's agreement that we didn't use stall teams. So my big complaint with online battles in Sword and Shield is, why can't you decide the rule set for Pokemon battles? Why is it predetermined? Like, in most, like, online games, like, think like Smash Bros. You can decide if you want, like, single stock, multi-stock, or, like, HP fights. I think I'm using the wrong terms here, but I hope you understand what I'm saying. And then, like, you can change the timer on the fight to where, like, you can literally have no timer on the battle. I don't know why you can't do that in Pokemon. Like, would that be that hard to implement? as well, I'm not gonna say that I hate Dexit, because I kind of feel like Dexit was inevitable. Like, if you look at other Pokemon-esque series, like, Persona, Monster Hunter, etc., they don't bring back every single monster every single game. And that's because that's a programming nightmare. Because you have to have a model for every single Pokemon, animations for every single Pokemon, a moveset, custom data, shiny values, etc., etc., etc. So I understand it's a lot of work, and when you're going on a year-to-year basis, it is gonna be impossible to get out a game every year with every Pokemon in it if you're going to keep, like, updating the Pokemon. If you literally just reskin the same game over and over, then you could probably get away with it, but they wouldn't just reskin the entire the games over and over and over again, right? Sword and Shield looks like Ultra Sun and Moon just kind of upscaled. And he uses a lot of elements from Let's Go. Like, most of this game is recycled. I hate it. Also, the wild area, the big, like, impressive part of the game. Many open worlds. Explore to your heart's content. It's boring. Like, you explore the whole thing basically the first time you go there. And it just looks muddy and drab. And the majority of the gameplay in the wild area is you walk up to a raid den, you click on it with a star piece, and then you reset the game clock over and over until you get a raid that you want. You catch that Pokemon, and then you go to another raid den, and you reset the clock over and over and over again, and then you catch that Pokemon. And then wait, I want to reset the weather in this area so I can shiny hunt a particular Pokemon that only spawns in the misty weather. So you reset the clock over and over and over again. Keep in mind that this is a glitch. You're not supposed to be able to reset the clock over and over again. But that's the main mechanic that makes this game interesting. If the game worked like intended, this game would be boring. It's so empty. There's nothing. And Dynamax sucks. I haven't talked about regional gimmicks yet, because, like, Megas aren't part of the reason why I like X and Y. Z-moves aren't part of the reason why I like Ultra Sun and Moon. Dynamax is why I hate Sword and Shield. What a horrible idea for a mechanic. Any Pokemon that learns Aerial Ace, spoiler, that's a lot of Pokemon, get a free speed boost. And speed is the most important stat on a Pokemon. Because if you go first, you kill everything. And if you don't kill everything, hey, maybe you learn Brick Break. Now you can up your attack. If you're not a physical attacker, hey, maybe you learn Sludge Bomb. Now you can up your special attack. Maybe you're a water type. Set your own rain. Maybe you're an electric type. Set your own electric terrain. Maybe you're a grass type. Set your own grassy terrain. Maybe you're a fire type. Set your own sun. It's so bad. Because every single online battle in Sword and Shield was literally Dynamax first, and then sweep your opponent. If you Dynamax second, do you know what the game plan was? Click Max Protect, or whatever the hell it's called. Stall out 2 turns of your opponent's Dynamax. And with the 1 turn that you aren't Dynamaxed, Hopefully do something that maybe means you win. Like set a weather or a terrain. I hate Dynamax. It is completely a mechanic built only for BGC players. Because fuck doubles. Or, sorry, I said that wrong. Fuck singles, am I right? Horrible. What's left? I guess we'll talk about Scarlet and Violet now. I don't like open world. I think that's really the only reason I don't like Scarlet and Violet. Well, there's a lot of other reasons I don't like Scarlet and Violet. But number one on the list is I don't like open world games. I hate how Garbodor is the only non-Gen 8 or 1 Pokemon to get a G-Max form. Yeah, I don't know why out of every Pokemon they chose Garbodor. Sorry, I was taking a drink there. You feel like Pokemon had to go open world. Or else it would feel outdated. So, I respect your opinion. However, have you played Scarlet and Violet? I'm pretty sure they feel outdated. They feel really outdated to me. So the minigames in Scarlet and Violet are some of the worst things I've ever played. There's like this Simon Says minigame where you can like spam the button for the prompt. Like there's this emotion wheel. You spam one prompt and the timer stops. So you can get locked into doing one thing over and over and over. There's this mini game in the DLC that literally broke me. It's called Ogre Oustin. And I don't know if it's fair to rank this game harshly because of its DLC. Because obviously you can play it without it. But I'll at least bring up Ogre Ousting because it is the worst minigame I've ever played. Pokemon had to copy Breath of the Wild. Wait, Breath of the Wild wasn't all it's cracked up to be? Okay. Interesting argument by the chat. It would be even worse if it was like Sword and Shield. Now I'm gonna try to word this where it makes sense. I think that the wild area was a good concept. And I was excited to see the future of the wild area concept. I did not like the wild area in Sword and Shield. However, I think adding non-linear open sections to route-based Pokemon gameplay is a fun idea. And I wish they tried it more. So a game we'll get to in a bit, Legends Arceus, kind of does this. Where it has what I would describe as 2 hub worlds and I believe 5 wild areas. But it doesn't have any like connecting routes or anything. It's you can explore the hub world and then go to one of the wild areas. Also, the single-use craftable TMs. Don't worry, I'm getting to that. So, anyways, I was excited to see how they were going to build on the formula that Sword and Shield built, which is, this still feels like a Pokemon game. However, we're having a modern spin on Pokemon, where there are parts of the game that feel like a modern AAA game. Look, there's this wide area full of Pokemon that you can explore. But also, don't worry, for all you fans who prefer just route-to-route gameplay, here you are. Now, the routes in Sword and Shield were awful, and the wild area was boring. But there was potential there. Scarlet and Violet just take all of it out in favor of one giant, boring map. Like, all you do in Scarlet and Violet is run forward, run into a Pokemon you didn't see, run forward some more, run into another Pokemon you didn't see, maybe go swimming for a bit, run into a Pokemon you didn't see, climb a mountain, run into a Pokemon you didn't see. Also, there's no trainer battles that are mandatory, so you just skip by every single trainer, run into a Pokemon you didn't see. You go into a town, there's no buildings you can go in, and like no trainers, no NPCs have like anything interesting to say. I think like maybe one NPC in the entire game gives you an item without you paying for it. Maybe. I'm not 100% sure. But if they're not a shopkeeper, they have no use to you whatsoever. And then you leave the town, run into a Pokemon you didn't see. And then what is there to do in the game? Well, there's gyms. The gym battles are bad. Literally, every single gym, you can guarantee that they have one mono-type Pokemon of their type specialty that you can OHKO. Because thanks to the Terastal mechanic, their last Pokemon that they send out will always Terastalize into their specialty type. I think the only Terra Pokemon that you can't just like for free one-shot with a super effective move is Iono's Miss Magus, because it Terras into Electric and it has Levitate. Besides that, most of the gym battles are just completely free. Not to mention how easy it is to grind. Not to mention that you can explore the entire open world, catch Pokemon that evolve by Evolution Stone, explore the open world, run into a Pokemon you didn't see, grab evolution items off of the floor for free, run into a Pokemon you didn't see, and then evolve those Pokemon with those evolution items and have like fully evolved Pokemon with like level 50 movesets. Like, you can catch a Growlithe, evolve it into Arcanine, teach it Flamethrower. Like, the game's over at that point. It's just, I don't know, like, people complain about the difficulty in X and Y. Is there a hard part of Scarlet and Violet? Like, I don't remember struggling ever in the game. Like, for the DLC, I streamed playing the entire thing. I purposely used, like, bad Pokemon just to make it interesting. Like, I tried to sweep teams with Veluza just to have fun, because I knew if I went in with my in-game team, I would sweep. Is there anything else I want to say about Scarlet and Violet? I think that's really it. Okay, so before we get into remakes, I'm gonna go ahead and rank the, like, purely spin-off stuff. the fighting star member, if you don't use... Oh, it's like a free sweep. Oh, the crashes. Oh yeah. I forgot about how bad the game is made. Diamond and Pearl, I'm sorry. You can be at the top of the tier. So Scarlet and Violet are a very well-made game. So in my experience, I've been keeping count. I've had the game crash on me 16 times. 16 times! Now, I played roughly 900 hours of Pokemon Sword. The game never crashed on me. The reason Pokemon Sword is lower is because Pokemon Sword and Shield established the precedent that Pokemon can make bad games and no one will care because it sells. Scarlet and Violet are horribly made games. They were definitely rushed out to meet a deadline, and it shows. And they just don't care. You can patch a video game in the modern day. They've released patches. Do you know what the patches did? They patched the fun glitches! They patched out the duplication glitch! They patched out infinite flying! All the stuff people enjoyed! It's so dumb! Anyways, enough about complaining about Scarlet and Violet. Let's talk about a good game. Pokemon Stadium, I'm gonna put in the good tier, I think? Or maybe the top of mediocre. I'm gonna put it in the top of mediocre. So Pokemon Stadium isn't a traditional Pokemon experience. It is, I guess, what you would call a battle simulator. Which means you pick a team of 6, your opponent picks a team of 6, and then basically a game like what would happen on cartridge happens on this game. Think Pokemon Showdown, for example. This is basically Showdown for the N64. Only you use like your Pokemon from Red and Blue. So you still have to grind up a Pokemon. But in Generation 1, training like a competitive Pokemon wasn't as mind-numbing as it is in, say, like Generation 4. So the reason I have Stadium this low is it's not really Generation 1. Like, a lot of the funnier glitches are patched out to, quote, fix the game, but it just makes it a different game. Like, why would I want to play a Generation 1 game where Tauros doesn't just murder everything with Hyper Beam? Like, that's the best part of Generation 1. Well, not the best part, but it's part of what makes it fun. So if you want, like, a genuine Generation 1 battling experience, then that's not Pokemon Stadium. However, what makes the game fun is, you know how Pokemon Black, Pokemon Black 2, Pokemon Moon all have like a story that you follow where you go from cutscene to cutscene and characters are talking about this story, and then you walk to a location, talk to people, walk to a location, talk to people. All of that's cut out. It's just Pokemon battles. The best part of the game. It's just Pokemon battles. And pretty fun mini games. You like the announcer? I love the announcer. And the game has so much life put into it, too. Like, people complained about the Sword and Shield Pokemon models having, like, no life to them. I don't know if you have to recharge Hyper Beam if it misses in Stadium. But I know they fixed the glitch where if you knock something out with Hyper Beam, you don't have to recharge. But anyways, with Stadium, the animations are good. The models are, like, surprisingly good. Like, I have very little complaints with the Stadium models. Most of them look really close to what we think of the Pokemon looking like nowadays. Some of them very much look like an N64 model. Like, I think Kangaskhan looks pretty rough. But for the most part, all the Pokemon look really good. The like, environments that you battle in look good. And I would say the music's pretty good, too. But, I think I am gonna put Moon above Stadium. Just because, like, Stadium isn't an RPG. Stadium is literally just a battle simulator. But, hey, I like Pokemon battles. Stadium 2... So it's Generation 2 battles. It's actually Generation 2 battles this time. So you have a selection... Oh yeah, I forgot to talk about it with Stadium. So what makes these games fun, in the modern sense, is there's probably no way that you can actually use your cartridge Pokemon in, like, the year of our Lord 2023. It's been like over 20 years since these games came out. So there's probably no way you have all the correct hardware. So you're probably playing on Nintendo Online or like your N64 emulator, which means you're using rental Pokemon. Which means for both of these games, you're basically doing puzzle battles where you're picking the cream of the crop, in quotes, from these rental Pokemon, and then trying to figure out how you make these Pokemon win against these actually pretty challenging teams. And there's a lot of battles to go through with Stadium 2. So there's the Gym Leader Castle, which goes from the Johto leaders to, like, this interlude with Team Rocket, to the Elite Four champion, to the Kanto leaders, and then I believe your rival and Red. I might be wrong with the end because I actually haven't finished the castle yet in Stadium 2. But it is a lot of fun. And so they have gym leaders, right? And this goes for Stadium as well, like the original Stadium. They have gym leaders that use Pokemon outside of their type to cover their type. Like, Erica, for some reason, has this cracked Vaporeon with, like, Sleep, Rest Talk, Hydro Pump, or something. It might be Surf. Yeah, like, it's insane. Like, the actually good teams in a video game with a Pokemon label on it. I don't know, it's just a lot of fun. And there's a lot of charm in Stadium 2. This isn't gonna drop for me. I think these games are better as a full Pokemon game experience. But if you just really enjoy Pokemon battles, Stadium 2. And finally, Colosseum. I wish Colosseum was better. I really do. I want to like Colosseum. The problem is the roster for Pokemon Colosseum. In fact, just to justify, in case I get any haters, 1 second here. Alright, this looks like a good list. Let me call back up the screen here for all of you. You gotta go again? Oh, alright, I'll catch you later. So these are all of the Pokemon that you have access to through the entire game. I'm gonna scroll slowly so you can see these absolute champions. Do you see anything? Right here's the cutoff, by the way. So, Tyranitar and up are what you use for the main campaign. And Tyranitar is the final boss. So, like, I think Delibird is at the point where you're kind of just grinding. Or, you're done grinding, I mean. By the time you reach here, you need, like, your full team ready to beat the game. So you're probably using Suicune, Entei, Johto starter, Espeon, maybe Makuhita. Where is Raikou? Oh, Raikou's right here. Like, you're probably using the Johto beasts, your starter Eevees, and the Johto starter. And then, like, everything else is just, like, horrible filler that does, like, nothing for you. Until you reach the end of the game, and you have, like, actually good Pokemon, like Metagross and Tyranitar that you can catch, but not really use. If the roster was better, I think that Colosseum would be higher, because I think it has an interesting story, but the roster's really bad and the game is also really short. It's really the only experience on this list that I've played, at least, that I would say 100% leaves you wanting more. And I mean, they did give you more, because XD exists. But, I mean, you have to buy an entire another game instead of just, oh, well, here's some more stuff to do in Colosseum. Alright. So now we just have the later gen remakes to rank. Wait. No, we don't. Because I still have to rank Legends Arceus. I don't quite want to put it in the best. I think I'm going to put it at the top of good. And I know this is a controversial take as well, because I know there are a lot of people that hate Legends Arceus. I think it is a broken experience. I still have no idea how the combat system works, but I think overall it is one of the most interesting Pokemon games ever made. I still don't like open worlds, but I think how they handled it is alright. Like, you can get a pretty decent handle on the entire map of whatever area you're in, explore around, catch whatever Pokemon you want. My only real complaint is I wish there were more battles. You're not really doing Pokemon battles in this game. It's more focused on not dying and catching Pokemon, which I'm not gonna say is a bad thing. It's kind of like really overly simplified Monster Hunter. That's being generous, but I think that's the easiest way to explain it. There is a Pokemon that wants to kill you, and you have the ability to dodge and throw items that might distract it. I think definitely the best part of Arceus is the Volo fight. Probably the hardest Pokemon fight I've ever done. Like, it took a while for me to figure out a way to beat it. Obviously, if I had just spent a lot of time, like, grinding and building, like, the perfect counters. But what I ended up doing is you have to catch a certain amount of Pokemon to get to the Volo fight. So I had higher level legendaries. So I used those legendaries. Typhlosion, I believe Blissey, and I think I had like a Togekiss or a Clefable, some fairy type. And I eventually won. But it was very painful. Alright. And then, I guess we'll go in generation order from here. Because Let's Go is kind of unique as, like, a spin-off that's also a remake. Because this isn't a game I'd describe as a mainline Pokemon experience. But at the same time, it is, like, just a Pokemon game. I'm gonna put it at the... Do I want to put it at the bottom of good or the top of mediocre? I think I'm gonna put it at the top of mediocre. So what's disappointing about Let's Go is the difficulty. It is 100% made to be baby's first Pokemon game. It is a game that exists to introduce 2016's Go market to mainline Pokemon, in the hopes that they will buy future Pokemon games, aka Pokemon Sword and Shield. Which, I mean, I guess it worked, because Sword and Shield and Scarlet and Violet sold really well. I don't really know how well Let's Go sold, but I did end up getting Let's Go. I thought it was fun. I started replaying it recently just to make sure I wasn't, like, insane. Because a lot of people hate Let's Go. Just because, oh, can't believe they remade Kanto again. Made it for babies. And where are all the Pokemon? With the hindsight of Dexit, I don't think cutting back a Kanto remake game to just the Kanto Pokemon is that bad. Now, I do wish that they had later gen evolutions in it. I do think it would be fun to have, like, Steelix and Mega Steelix, Blissey, Magmortar, Electivire, Scizor, etc. I'm sure there's some I'm forgetting. But just all these Pokemon that have evolutions, but they don't exist in the game. I think it would be fun to have them in there, but I don't think it really takes away from the experience. I also wish that Mega Evolution wasn't locked to the post-game, since this is the last Pokemon game with Megas in it. Unless you count, like, Pokemon Go, I guess. But it is, like, kind of depressing as a final farewell to Megas. They're just, like, this bonus thing at the end of a game where you probably aren't doing Wi-Fi battles. Oh. Following Mons are back in Let's Go too, and I think they're the last game to do Following Mons well. So thanks to the limited decks, you can actually, like, ride on certain Pokemon, and then others will follow behind you. I think only Pikachu and Eevee ride on your body, but there's a lot of really unique interactions you can have with the following Pokemon. And then in later gens, they just kind of, like, barely follow behind you and have to despawn and respawn behind you constantly. Yeah. Oris! I don't know if I want to put it this high. I'm going to put it here. So you might think that Oris, being the original 7.8 out of 10 game, would get a 7.8 out of 10 from me. And you'd be wrong. Oh, Alpha Sapphire is the first Pokemon game I bought with money. In fact, it might be the first game that I bought with my own money. I'm trying to think. Maybe I bought Mario Galaxy with my money? But regardless, it's one of the first games that I went to a store with the intent to buy a video game. Because I was like, I want to play this game. I'm excited for it. And it lived up to the hype. New Mega Evolutions. DexNav was really fun. The story was a pretty big improvement over base Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald. My only real complaint is they cut out Emerald stuff. No Battle Frontier is a real shame, because I think it would have benefited the game a ton to have the Battle Frontier. They delayed it in Europe for a week for no reason? That's messed up. Dang. I guess while we're talking about Alpha Sapphire, I should talk about Mega Evolution. I do think Alpha Sapphire and Omega Ruby are the games that introduced the most broken gimmick mons. So what I mean by that is, like, the primal reversions, Mega Rayquaza, Mega Metagross, Mega Salamence, just all these Pokemon who definitely didn't need more power, that got more power, which is sad, because I'm pretty sure what Mega Pokemon were supposed to be is an upgrade for older Pokemon who just kind of fell behind. So, like, a Pokemon like Charizard, who is still popular, but just doesn't do much in battle. It's weak to Stealth Rock, its offensive moves aren't very special, Um, the abilities it has, I believe, Blaze and Solar Power, neither of them are that incredible. But then you slap a Mega Stone on it, all of a sudden, it can set its own sun? And it has, like, Solar Beam for, like, great coverage. And, it's launching off, like, super powerful heat waves and fire blasts. And it's a good day for Charizard fans. But Oris kind of didn't get the memo and just kind of made all these broken megas and also Mega Sceptile. One day Sceptile will be good. I still feel so bad for Sceptile fans. Not only does Sceptile have like a barren move pool and a pretty pointless ability, it also just has like the most mediocre mega ever. Why do you need Lightning Rod on a grass dragon type that resists electric attacks like 8 times? But anyways, Oris still definitely has the too much water issue, but it kind of makes up for it with the improvements over the base game, in my opinion. And also, there's just a lot to do in Oris. It has soaring, which is a lot of fun. And when you soar, you can find Pokemon from other regions just kind of chilling on these Mirage Islands. And you can go catch them. You can get like all the unknown forms. You can get like Generation 5 Pokemon. Some legendaries just will randomly spawn. It's really cool. And I doubt they'll ever do anything like it ever again. And with that, we've reached the final remake. Brilliant Diamond. Well, it's better than Diamond. I'm gonna put it here. So, I think BDSP was supposed to be this triumph. After Sword and Shield, so many Pokemon fans were like, man, if only they would get another company to take a swing at the Pokemon formula. I just think Game Freak needs a break to kind of polish their craft and get a little better at what they do. Surely another company could make a good Pokemon game. So Brilliant Diamond is just Diamond with updated sprites. And by updated sprites, I mean models. So luckily, Dynamax did not escape the Galar region. Dynamax is exclusive to Galar. Which means, no, we did not get more Gmax forms of, like, exclusively Generation 4 Pokemon. And luckily, like, Pokemon battles in BDSP are just, like, normal Pokemon battles. Unfortunately, this being a Generation 8 game means we don't have Mega Evolution, which a lot of Generation 4 Pokemon have Megas and benefited from those Megas. And they also had to cut the decks down because it's a Generation 8 game. So, no, we're not going to have every Pokemon in it. So, this game features every single Pokemon from Generation 1, so Bulbasaur, to Generation 4, which I believe is Arceus, I think is the end of the decks. So, from the Onion Turtle to the God of Creation, everything in between. However, like, from Victini on, scrapped. And that goes for, like, later gen Evos, too. So, like, Sylveon isn't in the game. Even though Eevee's in the game, and it would have been really easy to put it in. As well, this being like a straight 1-to-1 remake makes it really boring. So they did try to update the boss fights. And a lot of the fights, I would say, are really good. Which is why I have it here instead of, like, under Coliseum. Because I would say that the fights in BDSP are pretty good. However, this game is still a buggy mess. I really wish it wasn't, but it is. And it still kind of struggles from just the Sinnoh map, which they, quote, took out HMs, but they made it like a mechanic where you have to go into like a menu screen and click on the different HMs in order to use them. Which I would say is just as tedious. The only difference is you don't have to teach a Bidoof like 4 different HM moves. Alright, unless there's any other thoughts on any of these games, I think that's really it with the tier list. So I'm just gonna double check them real quick. So in the very best, we have Black 2, Black, and Stadium 2. I would say these are my top 3 favorite Pokemon games that I've played. And I would definitely recommend these for other people to play. In the good tier, Alpha Sapphire, Arceus, Red and Blue, Yellow, Crystal, Ultra Sun and Moon, Platinum, and X and Y. There are things holding these games back, but I would still recommend them to players. In the Hoenn tier, we have the Hoenn games, except for the remakes. And I would say, if you love Pokemon, play the Hoenn games. But I would not start with the Hoenn games. In mediocre, we have Let's Go, Sun and Moon, Stadium, Gold and Silver, and BDSP. These games have just something or multiple somethings holding them back from being truly great Pokemon experiences. If Lusamine was our mom, then this would be a better story than Black and White. And I do still think Sun and Moon is a better story. It's just in Black and White, we are still the protagonist. Because it's very much In's story, but In is the antagonist. Lily is the protagonist. That's the difference. And just kind of reminding myself here in case I want to move any of these. Let's Go is a game made for babies. I think I'm gonna put Moon above Let's Go. Stadium, I just wish it had Generation 1 mechanics. Gold and Silver. Should I move Gold and Silver up? I think I'm gonna move Gold and Silver up. The only thing really letting Gold and Silver down is the horrendous level curve. And I think that horrendous level curve is enough to move Crystal down as well. Okay, so now that I'm thinking about it, I'm not entirely satisfied. I kind of want to put Crystal lower, but I really like the Johto region. I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm happy with Moon. I think Crystal is better than Moon, but I don't know if I want to put Moon above Crystal, because then it's in the good tier, and I do think that there is a lot holding Moon back. Sun and Moon, I mean, of course. I think I'm just gonna leave it sandwiched. Yeah, I'm just gonna leave it. And then BDSP is definitely at the bottom here. And then we have the Finest. And I think... No, these are my opinions. So, Sword and Shield is going to be at the bottom of the list, because they are basically the games that ruined Pokemon. But I do 100% think, and I want this said, I do 100% think that Scarlet and Violet are worse games. Sword and Shield are just worse in the meta sense. Then yeah, there's not really any like major bugs with Coliseum where I think Diamond should be above it, so I think I'm satisfied with this. So alright. So wait. Oh man, have I been... Maybe it's... More second. Oh, okay. There we go. Okay, so, I did a little cleanup, and I think this is the list I'm gonna go with. So these are my opinions on the Pokemon games. I'm going to state again my opinions. So if you don't agree with anything I have listed here, I 100% understand. Please let me know in the comments below or on the Discord, link in the description, your thoughts on any of these games, including the spin-offs. Do you think Pokemon Stadium 2 is a garbage tier game and I should put it below Diamond and Pearl? Do you think Pokemon Moon is the best game ever made? Do you think Legends Arceus belongs in a tier lower than the Finest? Please let me know. I'm gonna go ahead and download this image. And then, yeah. With all that being said, I don't really know if there's anything else I can add to this. If if you have any ideas for other like tier list videos you'd want to see, also let me know in the comments below or on the Discord. Link in the description, hopefully. Let me actually check and see if... Yeah, the Discord link is in the description. Excellent. So I did get that set up correctly. Good to know. So let me know if you have any future ideas for tier lists. Let me know your thoughts on these games. And with all that being said, I'm gonna go eat some lunch, I guess. Next time I stream, for anyone interested, will probably be either... I don't know if I want to stream Mario Wonder. I might just play that on my own. So it'll probably be Luigi's Mansion 3. Because I try to play it around this time every year. And I think it might be kind of fun. I hope y'all enjoy it too. It's probably my favorite game on the Switch. But, alright. Thank you for coming. Have a wonderful day. Goodbye.